I welcome all the students of class 7 in today's class, and today's topic is water, chapter number 5 of geography. So let's know the content of the chapter first. We will learn water cycle, distribution of water bodies, ocean circulation, that is waves, tides and currents. Along with that, we'll learn why water quality is deteriorating and what can be done to conserve water. So, at the end of the chapter, you will learn all these important points regarding water. So, let's begin with water cycle. Before I proceed to water cycle, I would like to tell you some important points of water. As you all know, water is abundantly available on the surface of the earth. More than 70%, or we can say around 71% of the earth is covered with water. That's why our earth is also known as blue planet. But even though we have enough and plenty amount of water, we have the problem of shortage of water. That is what we know as water scarcity. So you are going to learn why in the chapter. So let's start with this water cycle. Water cycle. So as we all know, water is present in rivers, lakes and oceans, etc. And this water is get heated due to the heat given by the sun, and evaporation occurred. So water turned to vapor, and this water vapor cools down when it reaches to certain height in atmosphere and condenses and cloud forms. From there, it may fall on the land or sea in the form of rain, snow, or sleet. When this vapor is released in liquid, then it's rain, or when it is released in solid, it is snow. So we have complete idea about water cycle. After that, we move on to the sources of fresh water. As I said, water is plentifully available on the earth's surface, but usable fresh water amount is very less. Most of the water present on the earth's surface is salty, which is found in oceans and seas, and fresh water, which we use in our daily life, amount is very less. And this freshwater sources are pond, underground water, glacier and springs. These are the sources of fresh water. So the major sources, as I said, major sources of fresh water are the river, ponds, springs and glaciers. And ocean bodies and the seas contain salty water as it contains large amount of dissolved salts. So what dissolved salt is found in the ocean water? Sodium chloride or common table salt that we use in eating. Then next we move on to distribution of water bodies. Saline water percentage is 93.3%. Fresh water we have in the form of ice cap 0.20%, and in the form of groundwater 0.68%, and fresh water lakes we have 0.0009%, and inland seas and salt lake 0.0009%, and in the atmosphere in the form of vapor we have 0.0019%, and in the river we have 0.0001%. So there are the amount of fresh water and the salty water available on the surface of the earth. Next, we move on to ocean circulation. Ocean water keeps moving continuously and never still. And the movement that occur in the ocean can be broadly categorized into three, that are waves, tides, and currents. So let's know in detail about waves. You can see here water is moving. This way of movement of water is what we know as waves. When the water off the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternately, they are called waves. You can see. And what is the causes for this movement of water? An earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or wind can be the causes for this movement. So an earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or underwater landslide can sieve a large amount of ocean water, which cause tsunami. So when the water off the surface of the ocean rise and fall alternately is what we know as wave. Remember this. And then this one of the important thing I would like to mention here is the tsunami of 2004 caused widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. The Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands submerged after the tsunami. So you can see here wave comes, in a high speed, and height of the wave is very large also. So it can destroy coastal area very easily. So the next movement is tides. We have another movement of the ocean water, that is tide. So the rhythmic rise and fall of the ocean water twice in a day is called tide. And when the water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level, it is what we call high tides. And when the water falls to its lowest level, it is low tide. And what are the causes for this rhythmic rise and fall of the ocean water? The strong gravitational pull exerted by the sun and the moon on the earth's surface is the cause for tide. You can see here when low tide occur and when high tide occur. So the water of the earth closer to the moon gets pulled under the influence of the moon's gravitational force and causes high tide. Next, I come to the types of tides. Neap tides and the spring tide. So let's know first about this spring tide. During the full moon and new moon days, the sun, the moon, and the earth are in the same line and the tides are highest. These tides are called spring tides. And in opposite to this, when the moon is in its first and last quarter, the ocean water gets drawn in diagonally in opposite directions by the gravitational pull of the sun and the earth, resulting in low tide. This is what we know as neap tides. And you can have the picture of high tides and low tide. As I said, during the full moon and new moon, all the three, that is the earth, moon, and the sun, are in a straight line. So it goes high tide, which is we known as spring tide. And in other side, you can see the position of the earth, moon, and the sun, neap tide. These three are in right angle positioned, and low tide is occur. Next, I come to the importance of tides. Tides, very important. High tides help in navigation. They raise the water level close to the shore, which help in ships to arrive at the harbor more easily because of the force of the tides. And high tides also help in fishing. Many fish uh, come closer to the shore during high tide. So this what the coastal area where high tides occur, then it can be a good uh, fishing ground there. And the rise and fall of water due to tides is being used to generate electricity also. So these are some of the important think about tides. Then next we come to ocean currents, the third movement of the ocean water. Ocean current means the stream of water flowing constantly on the ocean surface in definite direction, as a river on the earth's surface goes in a definite direction. Like that, some portion of the ocean water is moving constantly in a definite direction. That portion of the ocean water is known as ocean current. And ocean current are two types. First, we have warm ocean currents. These ocean currents originate near the equator and move towards the poles. An example, Gulf Stream is the example of warm ocean currents. And second is the cold ocean currents. These ocean currents carry water from polar or higher latitudes to equator or the tropical areas. An example of this is Labrador current. So, what are the importance of this ocean currents? Ocean currents influence the temperature condition of the coastal area. Warm currents bring about warm temperature in the coastal areas. The areas where the warm and cold currents meet provide the best fishing ground in the world. Seas around Japan and the eastern coast of North America are such example. And we have demerit of current, and that is areas where warm and cold currents meet also experience foggy weather, which is making difficult for navigation. So you have to know what are the importance of ocean current, what are the uh, demerit of ocean current. So with this, I come to the end of today's lesson. Thank you.